We know that our subject has been that of establishing change in the month of Ramadan. And sustainable change that lasts, inshallah, beyond the month of Ramadan. I'd like to propose a bit of a paradigm shift for us this evening. Laylatul Qadr is your story. How many of us think of Laylatul Qadr as our story? Sometimes we don't, right? It's this abstract idea. Laylatul Qadr, it's what it is, and we can name some facts about it. But let's reframe it for a moment. We know that Laylatul Qadr is our story in the sense that our decree started millions of years ago. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decreed what's going to happen from the beginning of creation until the end, 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth. And that includes your story and my story. And then Laylatul Qadr, we know that it commemorates initially the revelation of the Quran. And the Quran, no doubt about it, it is your path and my path to success, is it not? No doubt about it. And from the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among His blessings, is that He made the same night of the revelation of the Quran, the night that on an annual basis our decree is revealed in this world. Now let's talk about decree for a moment. One of the pillars of our faith. وَإِيمَانْ بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. Right? We believe in the qadr, the divine preordainment, both the good that comes and the bad that comes. So there are different levels or kinds of decree, you could say, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees that something be. So the first is that which is written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. There is then the decree that is revealed on a yearly basis, that the angels come down to this world, not in an abstract, but with your story and your story and your story and my story. That happens on Laylatul Qadr, who's, as Ibn Abbas mentioned, that all of the details for the upcoming year, even who's going to Hajj, who's not going to Hajj, it's all there. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the Hujjaj this coming year. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So all of our details, who's going to laugh, who's going to cry, who's going to live, who's going to die, all of that is given so that the angels know what their jobs are. The angel of death needs to know who's on the schedule, right? Who is being taken this year. The angels of protection need to know, what are we guarding your servant from, Ya Allah? What are we preventing from harming? The angels of the risk from the rain in the sky, they need to know what city gets rain, what city doesn't. All of that is decreed. SubhanAllah. There's another level of decree that happens when you're born. We know about the angel that comes when we're in our womb and is ordered to write. What's it ordered to write? About the person, amalihi. What are his or her actions going to be? Wa rizqihi. What provision? What are they going to earn? Wa ajlihi. How long are they going to live? Wa shaqiyyun aw sa'id. And are they going to be someone who is wretched, who is going to fail in the hereafter, or sa'id? They're going to be happy in the hereafter. May Allah make us from the su'ada, the people who are happy in this life and the next. And there's yet another level of decree which is happening all the time. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every single day is dealing with the affairs. We're making dua, He's answering dua. We're asking, He's responding. That happens continuously. And so the scholars, they mentioned that of all of these levels of decree, we have a Lawh al-Mahfuz, we have what's written by the angels when you're in the womb, we have the yearly decree on Laylatul Qadr, we have the decree that's happening every moment. The first one doesn't change. Lawh al-Mahfuz captures everything that happens below it. But every other kind of decree, the scholars said, it is able to be edited, to be amended. So it's possible that someone is born and the initial thing that is written is shaqi. They're not going to do well. But then something changes. Someone makes dua for that person perhaps. They do a kind action for someone perhaps. Think of the woman, the prostitute from Banu Israel. What did she do? Gave water to the dog. Forgiven for all of her sins, right? You don't know what action you might do that will change your trajectory with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that same hadith that mentions the angels that wrote in the womb, it talks about the fact that a person could be doing the actions of the people of Jannah. We all know that, right? Until they're about to reach the end and the decree overtakes. They start to do the wrong things and they suffer accordingly. And someone could be going their whole life on the wrong track, but then they change their life at the very last minute. It can happen. So Laylatul Qadr, there's so much we want to say, but we want to keep it brief. Understand that this is your story, and from the blessings of Allah is that He gave us this opportunity that when your decree comes for this coming year, you have the opportunity to know about when it is. Not exactly, but these last 10 nights somewhere in there. But imagine that decree comes and you're in sajda. Imagine that decree comes and you're making dua. Imagine that decree comes and you're reading Quran. Imagine that decree comes and perhaps something wasn't coming that you were wanting, but because of your efforts in that night, because of your hope in that night, imanan wa ihtisaban, because you believed in Allah and you expected His reward, your decree changed for the better. That's what's at stake. That's what's at stake these last 10 nights. What's at stake for us is standing on the Day of Judgment and imagine, just to imagine the mercy of Allah. خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ, right? Better than 1,000 months. Some of us don't understand how merciful Allah is, how loving He is. Imagine you come on the Day of Judgment. Yes, perhaps we have, may Allah forgive us, 60 years of sins, 70 years of sins, right? Perhaps. But imagine you reach Laylatul Qadr every year that you could. So against those 60 years of sins, you have hundreds of years of good deeds. You have centuries worth of ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't think you'll be in a good spot? This is a time of rahmah, it's a time of mercy, it's a time of hope. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the energy to finish this month out strong. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.